Okay.
All right. Well, I'm gonna refrain
Here
from
we
saying the
go.
F word so early on. Um, we can pretty much just continue that conversation as we wait.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Brum is back.
I am back.
That's
Finally
exciting.
done playing hooky. You know, this time the Celtics weren't playing and losing, so didn't have to run. Just had to, nugs and five, right? Heat
Unfortunately,
culture.
that's the way of the road. The heat culture thing is a little bit bugging me because there's only one fan base in the world that can talk right now, and your fan base certainly is not it. Your little leprechauns actually lost at the hands of heat culture.
The heat culture thought about losing though.
But they didn't, so it doesn't matter.
And some would argue that they could have lost if Jason Tatum didn't tweak his ankle.
I agree.
Oh my god!
They would have at least won 2 games against the Nuggets.
You know what else some could argue? You know what else some could
Guaranteed.
argue? If Tyler Hero had played the whole postseason for the Heat, they might be a little bit better because that's a guy, that guy's a 20 points per game scorer that the Heat didn't have. But no one cares about that.
Maybe
No,
a little
I
bit better.
don't.
So instead of 5, it's 6.
Yeah. And then Caleb Martin is probably not Kobe Bryant whenever we play him.
You guys are annoying.
All right. Well, glad we got the basketball talk out of the way. We can start talking about Oklahoma. And we can probably start off with softball, like we have kicked off the last few live streams. I guess really biggest news: Jordy Ball heading out, enter the portal, going to Nebraska.
I gotta throw one thing in. Before we talk OU softball, did you guys see the Texas baseball? Did you see that game?
Yes,
I texted it. Yeah, that's the best ending of all time.
That's the most Texas way to lose something.
Yeah. It was classic and you love to see it. I just thought it was hilarious. I mean, it kind of reminded me of I don't know, was it 4 years ago maybe when Arkansas was in the national championship series, and then they lost the pop out in foul territory, and they ended up losing game 2, I think it was, and they ended up losing the championship. So it was very similar, eerily.
What a catch! Almost, yeah, Les. He almost had that one.
Very close.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah, we can go back to OU softball. But Brandon, you want to lead off with Jordy?
Just what we were talking about before we started recording. I agree with you, Bram. I still think OU until somebody proves they can consistently beat them. Especially, I mean, you got to beat them 2 out of 3 times in a series in order to win what you're trying to win here. And I still don't think any team in the country can do that. But Jordy Ball is like the one player on this team. You know, you're losing Straka already because she graduated. She's going to play for the Oklahoma City Spark. So Jordy Ball is like the one player on the team that I think it genuinely hurts to lose her. So for the team standpoint, it sucks for you. I mean, she was without a doubt going to be the ace next season. Had she stayed, she would have continued to be dominant as she was this season. You're losing a lot of production with Jordy Ball going away. That being said, I mean, I wish the best for her. I'm actually excited to see it. You mentioned Odyssey Alexander for James Madison a couple of years. I think it will be similar to that with her at Nebraska. I hope that she takes Nebraska to the tournament, which I do believe she will. I think she's that good. And I hope we get an OU-Nebraska matchup in the Women's College World Series next year. I think that would be a blast to see Jordy get to pitch against her former team.
It definitely would be. Looking at you pointed out, statistically speaking, Nicole May was the worst.
Yeah, the worst. She only had a 146 and 76 strikeouts.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous. But really, I think I saw an interview with Dean Blevins was interviewing Kinsey Hansen and Patty Gasso. And before the news came out, now in hindsight, you can go back and watch that interview and because they were asking about their pitching and Jordy Ball and whatnot. And she kind of went around and didn't talk a whole lot about Jordy other than she's great and we love her and all this stuff. And then she started talking about Nicole May and Kirsten Deal, which, who could be the next big thing to replace Jordy. I mean, it's not just one player because you don't get one. Oh yeah, Keaton already gave it to him. Nugs in 5, baby.
It's fair. It's expected. It's expected.
So Kirsten Deal could be one of the handful of people that kind of fills in for Jordy. But again, I mean, wish her the best, and I understand there's a lot of pressure, and she's probably just looking for a new challenge. I mean, you already won 2 national championships. Yeah, I mean, it would be fun to go win another one or another 1 or 2 more. I think Oklahoma can still win again next year. I mean, just with how much talent's returning and transfer portal, and Oklahoma's bound to get some great freshmen coming in here. So wish her nothing but the best. And at the end of the day, if you're not happy somewhere, it's not worth being miserable for a couple of years. I mean, really.
Well, and you said it when we were talking before we started recording. Like, she did everything you can do at Oklahoma. She won 2 national championships back to back. She was freshman player of the year last year. She won the tournament player of the year this year. Now she gets to go and try to, I guess, revive or grow the game in Nebraska. Kind of make softball bigger than it has been, and maybe at some point the people that like to bitch about Oklahoma playing in their backyard for the World Series will get what they want, and maybe there's going to be a second place where a tournament like this will get hosted. I don't really see that happening anytime soon, but it would be pretty cool if this starts to travel around and it rotates between 2 or 3 venues for a while until the sport starts to grow. Because honestly, softball is way more entertaining than baseball. It's so much faster. The girls have way more passion about what's going on the field. I just think it's way better, personally. I know Brandon loves baseball, but I like
both. I think softball at the college level is more fun to watch. There's no doubt. Yeah. But I mean, I like both.
Professional softball. That's really.
Well, there is. I think growing, now,
but it's not nationally televised. That's something that maybe once that becomes a bigger thing, it will be a better viewing experience. But watching it on TV, softball, way better. And I'm excited that it's going to grow.
The view is nice, too. They're a lot better looking, too. Those are the last 2 comments we got.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, wish her nothing but the best. And I understand. So it is what it is. And taking on a new challenge, right? So,
but part of life.
Yeah. And turning the page. Patty Gasso will reload. When G. Juarez left, it felt like, oh my gosh, how is Oklahoma going to bounce back after losing her? And then they don't miss a beat.
Jossie.
So, true. Yeah. I mean, it's just a machine that Patty Gasso has built. It's a pipeline.
The statue's coming. The statue is coming.
That is cool. That's something else we can talk about. It's pretty cool that she's going to get a statue while she's still the coach. I'm assuming she'll still be around as the head coach for the softball team once that statue goes up.
I think she's going to be allowed to stay as long as she wants.
Did Bob get his statue when he was still the coach? After. That's what I thought.
Nick Saban's
a couple years ago
got a statue of him.
Surprised Tim Tebow didn't get a statue at Florida while he was still at Florida. They put his dumbass quote up there while he was still at Florida from the national championship game that didn't go our way, but his whole 30 minutes for the rest of your life thing.
Yeah. So.
Oh no, it wasn't that. It was his after Florida lost, and he was talking about, you will never see another player work as hard as me. You will never see. Yeah.
His eyes out.
Relax, buddy. You lost 1 game.
Yeah. So, all right. So, should we move on to the elephant in the room and talk a little the elephant in the room, Brandon? Yes. Let's talk about Brandon. Derek LeBlanc. So, Jose, what do you think?
I want to see what the commenters think. I want to see comments about this.
Yeah, and we've already had Seth share his thoughts on this in the comment section, but I mean, it sucks. I thought he is going to be a good player, and I thought it was going to be for Oklahoma. It seemed like coming in, like dude had gained like 30, 40 pounds in the 5 months he was here. Was he going to start or be a huge contributor this year? It didn't seem like it, and most of the time freshmen aren't, so it wouldn't have really been a huge surprise. But next year, after you have Coe and Jordan Kelly graduate, and some of these transfers that are coming in with their last year of eligibility graduate, probably would have been a bigger contributor with Grayson Halton, hopefully Kelvin Gilliam, assuming he makes that jump. Like, he was going to be a pretty big part, even with like potentially adding guys like Nigel Smith and David Stone. He would have been part of that rotation, if not even the starter. But I'm going to take his post for what it was, and it seemed like he just needed to get back home. Things come up, and I guess that's a good thing of the portal. If there is situations where you have to be back home and closer to family, the portal provides that option. But it does suck to lose him. Me and Brandon were actually talking about this yesterday, and it's crazy how it works. Because we were all excited when Derek LeBlanc committed. And for whatever reason, people just forgot about him and decided Oklahoma did a terrible job at recruiting defensive line. You got a 5-star PJ Adeboye in the last cycle and a highly rated 4-star in Derek LeBlanc. Like, he had the potential to be very good at the college level. And then now that he's leaving, and I think it's a very small group of people that do it, but that he's not good. He wasn't going to be good enough. Didn't have what it took to be on the field as a senior. I disagree. Like, again, taking for his post for what it was, he had to get back home, and hopefully, I'm assuming he'll be at Florida, since I was like the runner-up in his recruitment. He visited there like 20 times or something like that. So maybe he gets some early opportunities there to play for Coach Napier.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's disappointing for sure. He's the guy that we were all excited about when he committed. I'm not going to sit here and act like he's not a good player now because he's gone. I want to get to know more about really what the reasoning behind it is. You hear the family stuff, you hear that his friends pulling him, maybe he's missing home, and all that stuff. I mean, that's probably a big part of it, and the fact he's 18 and all that stuff, and whatever that happens. But like, you also see the stuff that he's leaving because of Coach Jerry Schmitty, and maybe the workouts are being too hard, or putting weight on being too hard, or that they didn't like the influx of defensive line transfer portals coming in to maybe compete against him. If he's leaving because of, and I don't know this to be true, and I'm not saying it is true, but if he's leaving because of competition-based things, then that's I don't think that's the right attitude, because this dude is as gifted as he is and as talented as he is, and the player that I think he can be. If he wants to play football at a high college football level, he's gonna have to get in there and compete no matter where he ends up. He's not gonna just walk into Florida. I don't know much about that team, but I don't think he'll just walk into Florida and be a starter year one. I don't think he'll start anywhere year one as a freshman. So I want to know more about the reasoning behind the transfer. But for an OU standpoint, I think it sucks.
Yeah, it definitely sucks, and of course, I'm disappointed. And I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh man, that's not a loss, and he isn't good enough to play at Oklahoma, because he is. It is interesting. Like, I kind of feel like it isn't dealing with the transfers, and the reason why I don't think so is, I mean, whenever he was committed to Oklahoma in the recruitment, he was pure recruiting David Hicks, who statistically speaking and rating wise was a better player than him. Not saying that he actually is or will be or is right now, but he was doing some pure recruiting. And I feel like, there's some things going on at home, and it is what it is. And I don't really know what's going on, and people will speculate, and it's the Schmitty workouts and whatnot. I just have a hard time believing that if it's the workouts, he would have thought that it would be easier to go play at an SEC school or something, and that's going to be good for him. To me, it does seem like that there must be something pulling him home, and it might just be that there's a situation. I mean, he said it's unforeseen circumstances or something. I mean, he just might be homesick, and isn't it crazy how we went from one end of the spectrum where you sign with the team, and if you want to transfer, you have to sit out a year, and then we've swung all the way to the other side of the pendulum, basically saying if you want to leave literally after one semester at a school, you can and not sit out. And I don't know if you have to sit out because of the transfer window or something, but it is crazy how fast and how different it is now. And sometimes I wonder if that's always good for an 18-year-old, because when things happen and times get a little bit tougher, you don't know what you don't know, and you can only be guided so much by your parents or whoever influences you. And sometimes you have to push through the rough times, but if there's an easy exit plan, it's easier to take when you're 18 years old. I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. And I get the other side where if there is something serious and you want to get home, and I get that, but I don't know. It is what it is.
I hope he succeeds wherever he goes.
Coach Chavis was on Twitter like pretty quickly after, I think it was Derek, like made his post about entering the portal, supporting him, like saying he was doing what was best for him. And I think the coaches have those conversations in the background, but Chavis getting like publicly going out on Twitter and like supporting him shows that it wasn't really anything where there's any like it wasn't a bad situation like Keontae Henry, right, where he left the portal because the reports were that he wasn't meshing with the team and he wasn't doing what he was asked to do in practice, or whatever the case may be. Like it's not just like he, like Seth, and I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying like he's so far down the depth chart. He was promised to be a starter, and now he realized he wasn't good enough. Now, like I think most freshmen, are smarter than fans. Know more than likely not going to be playing as a freshman. Like I have that opportunity if I'm good enough, but I'm not walking into this Power 5, one of the best programs in college football, and I'm going to play the very first minute of my freshman season. It's a marathon, and they know they got to develop, get bigger, get stronger, learn the playbook. Like Jacoby Johnson said it in the video that OU football posted. Like they know what they need to do to come in to get that opportunity, and they may not get it as freshmen because they have guys ahead of them that know the playbook better, or bigger, or stronger, whatever the case is. Like they get excited to be there, but they don't have the expectation of starting year one like some fans believe they should.
I think Jacoby Johnson has a better chance to start year one if he plays receiver.
It's a different conversation, but
it's a different conversation. But yeah, you said you don't disagree, or you do disagree?
No, I do disagree. I guess we can talk about it, Brum, real quickly. Brum, do you have a take on Jacoby Johnson and if he should be playing receiver this season with OU's receiver situation?
Probably should. I don't really see him honestly contributing a whole lot because I see DJ Graham really kind of emerging and being a contributor. I could see where he plays a little bit and contributes a decent amount, but I just don't see him being like that impact guy. But I do think that the path to playing is better on the receiver depth chart for Johnson.
I just think he's a better receiver than he is a defensive back. I mean, I think to me it's that easy. He's good at both, but I think he's really, really good at playing receiver.
Here's a question, and we kind of talked about it in previous podcasts, but from Sooner Cowboys, what do y'all think OU will finish this season?
12-0, national champions.
Well, let's be realistic here. After coming off a 6-7 season, that would be a hell of a tournament.
That's because I didn't watch last season, boys. I'm telling you. Like when you guys make me podcast on nights where my team is playing, the Heatles play, we lose to the Celtics, which we're clearly way superior than. We proved that. But if I'm not watching, we lose. Like if I'm a superstitious guy, so I think I'm sorry for not watching last season. I'm back this year. OU will be back. I think it's gonna be. I think we talked about it last time. I think it's 10-2, 9-3, 10-2. But there's a world where it's 11-1. It's you got to throw in that there's a world, because I'm pretty sure we got comments about there's a world, guys.
My gut tells me 9-3 or 10-2 as well. I mean, when you look at their schedule, the way that it's laid out is nice for Oklahoma. Really the big one is in mid-November when they go out to Provo, go out to BYU, and then they get Iowa State at home. They avoid going to play Kansas State or even host Kansas State. They got a really good draw on the opponents. I mean, you're going on the road at Oklahoma State. That's a rivalry. I still think Oklahoma can win that game.
You still think Oklahoma can win that game?
Yeah.
Oklahoma should dominate that game. This is not a game that Oklahoma State's not. Even last year when Oklahoma was not a good program, they were up 28-0 on them. Like, I just think Oklahoma State is not a game they can win. Oklahoma State's a game that they should simply go in and dominate.
We also went 6-7,
and they still dominated Oklahoma State. So what I'm saying is that that's a game that it's not a can-win game. I think it's a game we should destroy them. I don't care where it's played. They can play that game in my backyard, and I'll officiate, and I'll make sure it's 100-0.
I'm sure you would make sure that would happen. Yeah, I think 9-3 is a safe bet. 10-2 if Oklahoma gets a good break. The Texas game is going to be interesting. BYU is going to be interesting. And I know you guys said Oklahoma State. I understand. And Iowa State. I mean, those seem to be, or actually maybe not Iowa State. I'm thinking of Kansas. Excuse me. Going on the road at Kansas.
See, like from a football standpoint, I actually agree with this Seth comment. I think, as much as we hate to say it, I think Texas has a chance to be special next year. I think they're going to be pretty good. So I think Texas has the chance to beat us. Just like as from a talent standpoint, I think Texas is going to be pretty good. Oklahoma seemingly does it every year where they drop a game they shouldn't lose. I mean, Kansas State is a team that simply, Oklahoma should not lose to that team, but they have been a thorn in our sides for years. So it seems like Oklahoma does it all the time, where they drop when they shouldn't lose. But I think that's why I said 11-1 is. I mean, Texas is the only team that I think you're going to that game and you're like, damn, they're pretty tough. This is going to be a barn burner, if you will. But like the other games, they should win.
I mean, that's fair.
That's not to say they will.
7-5 happens. It's progression, but clearly multiple people agree that it would be a very bad situation for Brent Venables.
7-5 would throw up the alarms, and recruiting will start to suffer if that happened. I just, the way when you look at their schedule, and I might be a little more conservative on some of these games. I mean, they're out of conferences: Arkansas State, SMU, Tulsa. I mean, that's 3 wins right there. West Virginia is not going to be great. Iowa State's not really going to be great. Cincinnati's not going to really be great. I mean, there's a lot of teams that aren't really going to be great.
Central Florida's not that great.
Yeah, they should really clean up. And I think easy is 7 wins on 12-game schedule. I mean, 8 probably is really where, if a lot of things went wrong, and then they could win the bowl game and go 9-4. I
think you have to win at least 9 regular season games to avoid the panic alarm.
I would agree. I mean, I think if Brent Venables went 9-4 this year with the bowl win, it'd be okay.
I want 9 in the regular season.
Oh, okay.
I think it also depends on how you lose them, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we talked about it a lot at the end of last season. Like, they lost quite a bit of games by lessen a possession?
It was 4.
Wasn't it like
or no,
4?
4 or 5? I can't remember.
Yeah, they lost. Like, you just don't buck up once.
Ding, ding,
in
ding.
that
There's the
game.
first one.
There's the first one. Then, easily you can turn that around and get a couple more wins. And now it's, what, 8 or 9 wins year one. Obviously, it didn't happen year one, but it's a matter of the coaches learning how to close games and the players that they have under them learning how to win those close games. Because the defense, when the offense clicked and it looked like it was going well for them, the defense would mess up. And vice versa. When the defense was playing well and things were clicking for them, the offense could not stay on the field no matter what. Like, the clock could be running as fast as possible. It could look like a stopwatch in the Olympics, and they would be there. I think they would beat Usain Bolt in a 100-meter dash with how quickly they got off the field.
It was never complimentary football.
I think just the fact that it's year 2 is just going to pay off huge, dude. Just it's harder to win when you got a brand new guy who's teaching all of his things for the very first time, and they're don't really have any experience under it. I think having a full actual season under his belt, now he's got his full off season under his belt. I think the improvements will be substantial, especially defensively, because that's what we all talked about when we first hired Brent Venables. And last year, the defense didn't really show up. And granted, they were put in some pretty shitty spots by the offense. I think didn't they play more downs or more third downs than any team in the country, or some crazy stat like that? I'm talking about our defense. So I think they weren't put in the best situations all times, but just year 2 is gonna be night and day difference, I think.
After the Red River rivalry, what do you guys think is the next hardest game on the schedule?
I got to pull the schedule up real quick.
I mean, I think the next hardest would be BYU. I mean, you're going mid-November on the road out to Utah, and that could very well be like a late evening game. It's going to be cold. I just think that BYU is one that you circle, and I could see it being like a Saturday night primetime game if BYU is halfway decent. I think that one is tough.
I honestly think it's Kansas, because they brought back Jalen Daniels, even if for whatever reason he's hurt again. Jason Bean is still there to help him out and back him up. It's in Lawrence. I'm assuming that the fans would at least show up for that game, because the team wasn't bad. It didn't suck last year. Because like the last couple times OU's played them, it hasn't been the easiest game ever. And the last time it was in Lawrence, they all got in for free because they were kicking our ass for a while. And it looks like they have quite a bit of returning players on that roster. So if Lance Leopold can keep that momentum, that's going to be, I would say that's the next hardest game. And maybe it's because I don't know much about BYU, and I hope I can go just to check out.
You gotta go to that game.
What it's like there, but like looking at the schedule, it just doesn't like that. Outside of Red River, that seems like the second hardest game. I agree with Brandon. If it's at all competitive with Oklahoma State, that's a bad look, because you beat their ass last year, and the OU was bad, and they still have the same offensive coordinator who draws up the same 5 plays.
If anything, in theory, they should have downgraded. I think going from Spencer Sanders, who's not that good. I mean, we've all had our opinions on Spencer Sanders on the show, but to go from Spencer Sanders, who I think is an upgrade from, I can't even think of the Texas Tech transfer kid's name, Bowman. Is that it?
I think
the quarterback playing for State now,
or Alex Bowman,
Alan Bowman or some shit. Yeah,
yeah.
I think he's worse than Spencer Sanders, and I think it's going to be a disaster in Stillwater this season, and I can't wait to watch it unfold.
Yeah, and we just got a comment asking about the quarterback situation, if we're going after another quarterback. Yeah, I think they're going after Samaj Jones, but I don't think that they feel confident that they're going to get him. And they did offer today a kid by the name of Andy Bass out of Heritage Hall. He played quarterback for Heritage Hall, and I kind of wonder if that's their guy, and being in the Oklahoma City area, and they might be able to. And I don't know if it's a full scholarship or a preferred walk on. I mean, he said offered a scholar. I think he was offered. I think he said offered. Huh?
Bass was playing running back though at the senior camp today.
Yeah, he plays both quarterback, athlete. So I don't know what they actually offered him as.
Yeah, they might be recruiting him as a running back.
Which would be really interesting that they would be doing that, because they had Xavier Robinson on campus today, right? I believe. And they're getting Caden Durham on campus, and I kind of feel like the running back room isn't really put really in a rough spot for depth. But maybe it's just a general athlete. I'm not 100% sure what Bass is being recruited at, but yeah, maybe he is a running back for Oklahoma. But speaking of depth and things like that, I think in our title, we talked about how will the O-line depth, defensive line look like. Derek LeBlanc, I think we all agree, most likely wouldn't have been a large contributor this fall. I think that's fair. I'm not saying that he couldn't have been in somewhat of the rotation and things like that. But by and large, he wouldn't have contributed a whole lot. But when you look at it, so they brought in Devon Sears, which I'm not really sure how much you can expect out of him. But then you've got Isaiah Coe, DeJohn Terry, the guy from Utah State. I forget his name. I'm blanking.
Pay or something.
Yeah, Pay, and a few others. It's very much a kind of a hodgepodge D-line. I think I've seen in the comments D-line, OU's D-line transfer portal, U or something like that. They're definitely doing a bunch of patchwork. And not to jump topics, but it just amplifies how important the 2024 class is now. It was already critical, but it is extremely critical at this point. Jose, what do you think?
It kind of, comparatively, it looks like the wide receiver situation. Outside of the top two guys, which I guess at the D tackle position would probably be Isaiah Coe and Jordan Kelly, or Jonah Luwalu, then you don't really know what you got behind them. Those transfers can be contributors, but can any of them step up and make more impactful plays? Can anyone step up and start taking time away from an Isaiah Coe and Jordan Kelly? Because I'm going to sound like a dickhead, but we always hear about how good Jordan Kelly's doing in camp leading up to the fall. But for whatever reason, come fall, doesn't translate to real football games. And you see other guys getting more playing time, then the bowl game comes around, and there Jordan Kelly is again. If he could apply what he does in camp and in the bowl game to 12 games in the regular season, the interior should be fine. Is it going to be amazing? Is it going to look like Georgia? No. But, in all fairness, no team looks like Georgia's defensive line. Maybe Alabama, and even they don't look like Georgia's defensive line still. The expectation of trying to be that top tier in year two is kind of unfair, but they shouldn't suck.
I think it's the deepest position on the team.
Why?
How is it?
None of them have proven that they.
I feel like Jonah Luwalu has played, Jordan Kelly has played, DeJohn Terry has played as a transfer. Trace Ford, when he's on the field, is pretty damn good. The big question mark with him is if he can stay healthy, because he's got a long injury past. So hopefully he can stay healthy. You got the Samacolo, who I know is playing the cheetah spot, and then you've got Ethan Downs, who's pretty decent. You got Reggie Grimes, who's pretty decent. There are dudes.
Are we talking edge?
Line.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the entire defensive line. Oh,
but the interior of the defensive line, there's a lot of question marks. I agree. When you look at the edge, it makes the entire defensive line look really good, because you have Deshaun McCullough, Trace Ford, if he can stay healthy, Reggie Grimes, Ethan Downs coming back, PJ Adebore. The edge, kind of, I would agree that those positions are deep, because you've got guys competing that are seemingly very, very talented. But the interior is the biggest question mark. and that's what is going to help them stop the running game.
Because Oklahoma on the interior has a lot of guys that can contribute, but maybe not like our mainstay guys. Like Isaiah Coe is probably your best interior defensive lineman, and which he can flash and play really well. But at times last year and even the years before, I mean, the interior of the defensive line just gets gashed and it just gets opened up. And then, you brought in Jacob Lacey, who, I don't know if there's been any confirmed reports, but, it seems like he's not going to be available this fall. So you bring in one transfer and he's already out. And then you lose Derek LeBlanc, that probably wasn't going to play a whole lot. But then, you look down the depth chart and you got Grayson Halton, but he's young. He's not proven. And then Deshaun Terry comes in. Yeah, he's played, but in a limited capacity. It's just more of there's a ton of question marks of like, who is going to be that guy or those guys? And I hope it emerges, and maybe Brent Venables and the staff has to cater the defense to help and not just let a couple of, the interior guys be on their own, keep the linebackers there, have some secondary support. Because I just think that a lot of teams are going to attack that position. But you guys are talking about the edge. I agree. There's a lot of depth. There's a lot of competition. It's very deep on the edge. And I think it's only going to get better. But this 2024 class, there's another scholarship that just opened up with Derek LeBlanc leaving. There's an argument to be made that you can sell a 2024 kid now, like, hey, look, Derek LeBlanc is gone. We already need guys, and then you already lose a 4-star from last year. You can come in and fill that role. Can you take 4 or 5 stars? I think you could. It's just a matter of, can you lock all those guys down? And that's probably a harder thing to do than it sounds. I mean, can you get Nigel Smith, Williams Nwaneri, David Stone, Joseph Jonah-Ajone? I don't know. Ajone seems to be trending towards Georgia. Can you get that 4th defensive line guy to really buy in? I'm not 100% sure. And Gilliam needs to stay healthy. It's just been unfortunate for him where he's got all the talent. It's just he's getting some issues and things that are out of his control. So it's one of those things. I don't know.
Just get David Stone. Let's be happy. So I'm taking away from what you're saying.
Another transition we can get into, commitments. So we had over the last week, Jayshon Ross got a future cast and some predictions to Oklahoma. Zion Raggins got more predictions to go to Oklahoma. Seems Nigel Smith has visited Penn State, and I can't remember his first visit for last weekend. I think it was Ohio State. He's gone to 2 schools on official visits, and he's spoken highly about both, but no predictions for him going one place or another have come out, which I think is good for Oklahoma. That I've seen at least, so maybe you guys can correct me on Nigel Smith. And you've got Joseph Jonah-Ajone coming in.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything from Nigel.
Yeah, so you've got a lot of opportunities this weekend, and that's just defensive line. Who is going to be the next guy or guys to come in and commit for Oklahoma, in your guys' opinion?
Jayshon Ross. Future friend of the show, Jayshon Ross. We're working on it.
For a minute there, I thought I was going to be Easton Baker.
Stupid Illinois.
Yeah, he committed to Illinois. As far as the next one, it seems Ross. I mean, I could see Zion Raggins. It seems like that Ross this weekend could very well be push him over the edge. Like, I'm in. And, he's got some of the Kansas City, Northwest Missouri guys that are on this roster now, with PJ being here, Caden Green being here. I would think that would bode well for the recruitment of Williams Nwaneri, being from that area as well. I don't know if they're friends or not, or I would imagine they at least know each other being up in that area. I'm going to say Jay Sean Ross as well. I think Zion's right there. I mean, I think they're both coming soon, and um, I'd be happy with either one. I mean, but obviously, I mean, Jay Sean fills more of a need as far as we need a guy like him.
Still wish it was David Stone. I would not be mad if David Stone just decides to call it official after Champ U. Just says, "F it, I'm going to Champ U." He just had his free vacation in Miami last week. That's out of the way. It's time to be serious now.
And the week before that, he went to Florida, and before summer started, the reports were that he was really looking to visit both of those schools and maybe Michigan State. I don't remember correctly. But nothing is lined up for an official visit to Michigan State. So as of right now, Oklahoma is his last official visit on the books. It wouldn't surprise me if it's done with Stone after this weekend. Like I shouldn't be surprising if it's done or if it continues until the end of the summer for Stone. Like with how his recruitment has been so far, it could really it's a toss up. It's hard to say for sure he's committing, but it seems like Oklahoma's in a really good spot there. I agree that Jay Sean Ross is probably going to be the next guy to commit. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if he's already silently committed because of how he's interacted with players on Twitter, like OU-based stuff mainly over the last week or so. And I think he replied to Caden Green's picture of Caden Williams and I can't remember the wide receiver's name, but he's a 4 or 5 star that it was a teammate of Caden's and is a teammate of Williams is in Kansas City. He was talking like, don't let him go to Missouri. And like, you know what to do, Caden, to like keep Williams at Oklahoma. So I think Jay Sean is pretty much like his recruitment's basically done. He's whatever visits, if he's taking any more before this weekend, is more so of a because the coaches are making him and telling him to take those couple other visits and wrapping it up after this weekend. And hopefully it's a squad of defensive linemen wrapping it up this weekend.
That would be the best.
You know who I feel like he's been flying under the radar. We've talked about him every now and then. Is Dominic McKinley. A 5-star according to 247 defensive lineman out of Louisiana. He's visiting this weekend. He visited Texas A&M last weekend and then Ohio State the first weekend of June. So, he got out of both of those campuses without committing, and it doesn't really seem like he had glowing. I mean, it was, for Texas A&M, he seemed like, I had a great visit. It is what it is. It didn't seem like that there's been any crystal balls in favor of him going to Texas A&M. Obviously, nothing for Ohio State, according to the 247 page. I think McKinley is there for the picking for Oklahoma. He's got another visit lined up after Oklahoma on the 23rd, which I know Oklahoma's got a few recruits that will be going down that weekend of the 23rd. So, hold your breath on a few guys. The one school with McKinley is going to be LSU, but they don't have an official booked. I think McKinley is someone that Oklahoma could really push for. And I'm not saying they're going to get a commitment this weekend, but I really think that Oklahoma's in a better spot for McKinley than a lot of us think. I think he's there available. I don't know if it's just LSU's just not pressing him or if he's just trying to leave the state of Louisiana and trying to start fresh.
Who's coaching the defensive line at LSU? Isn't he a guy that we're pretty familiar with?
Not anymore.
Yes. Oh, is Jamar Kane gone?
No, did he go to
He
Southern
went to
Methodist?
Denver, I think. He's in the NFL.
He's in the NFL? Okay. Never mind. I was going to say maybe
in the last couple months.
Maybe he's doing us a solid over there and just saying you don't want to come here.
Yeah.
We'll see. No, I think I actually agree with you, Ram, and that's a lot of fun. If you get I don't know. McKinley would be nice, and that's a guy that I think I'm with you again. We should definitely talk more about on this program. Maybe we'll do it on the next recorded episode. Let's talk about Dominic McKinley a little bit, but you get him, Stone, Waneri, and Danny Okoye. That is my wish list for the 24 class along the defensive line.
Yeah, and what's unfortunate is Danny Okoye is going to Texas this weekend.
That's fine. I'll text him.
He's going on an OV, right?
Yeah. We'll have to follow up with him.
He's going to look up on those swimming trophies. That's what I'll text him. I'll just text him a picture of a pool. So you don't do this. You lift 700 pounds on deadlift and blow up quarterbacks and return punts for touchdowns.
Well, and when he was on with us, he said his plan is to pretty much ride this commitment wave out until basically National Signing Day or closer to it. Because his recruitment really just picked up. So, and he said he wants to visit Oklahoma. Going to try to take an official visit to Oklahoma in the fall. So it'll be when that can get planned out. So that's got to be good for OU and Okoye and chances with Okoye. But I don't. I mean, he's probably not going to commit for a long time.
That kid's going to be special, man.
He's got a lot of talent.
He does have a lot of talent. According to Eric, some priorities.
I was about to say he's prioritizing things over here.
Let's see here. Sooner Cowboys had another question I'm looking for right now, and I guess Jenna as well, kind of on the same vein. In the same vein here. What do we think of BB's policy of waiting to commit? Is it hurting OU, or does it really matter?
I'm still going to say it's not hurting OU or doesn't matter. And the only reason I'm going to say that is because this cycle is not even close to being over yet. That's the thing. If Oklahoma misses out on guys like David Stone, and I understand we've already had some tough losses, guys that we feel pretty confident with. Peyton Pierce comes to mind. But there's a lot of time left in this cycle. And we're starting to panic and freak out and do all this shit right now. If Oklahoma finishes this class 7 to 10 range, which is where I kind of think it's going to be, maybe even a little bit better, but say they're the number 7 class in 2024, is anybody going to sit back here then as the number 7 class in the country and be like, damn, Brent Venables' recruiting philosophy is dog shit. He sucks. He's screwed us up for us. The answer to that is simply no. So I think you have to wait this cycle out because there is an eternity of time. And when Oklahoma finishes top 10 still, then we're not going to be panicking. I think maybe you could argue, and I don't even know if it's the reason why, but you could maybe argue it hurt with guys like Peyton Pierce or others. But I don't think that his policy is hurting Oklahoma.
Well, here's the thing to think about as well. Oklahoma's coming off of a number 6 class last year. Pretty good. They did take a few commitments where we felt like, man, is Oklahoma really going to be able to hold on here? When you think about it, Vlasic comes to mind. They took the commitment from Vlasic, and it seemed, obviously, he went and visited Texas and things like that. So it's not a hard set rule. It seems like for certain situations, and Oklahoma's open to taking commitments. They've got 2 2025 commitments. I just think it's just the nature of the beast in this class and who they're targeting. The part of the problem is when you're recruiting mainly 5-star defensive linemen and 5-star defensive backs, they generally do not commit early in the cycle. As early as some kids do commit. And who's to say that Peyton Pierce, if this visit or this policy was different, wouldn't have gone to Ohio State after he committed to Oklahoma?
I'm telling you, I have the answer for all of the Ohio State leans. I've told you guys in the show the answer to fix all of that.
Yeah. But who's to say he wouldn't have gone and still flipped his commitment to Ohio State? I don't know. It's kind of one of those deals, and I know David Stone, and there's reports that David Stone's ready to commit, but there's also reports that his family's telling him, take your time. So who's to say that he was truly going to pull the trigger if this policy was different? I just don't think it's that big of a deal. Clemson does it, and Dabo Swinney is doing just fine. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it'll blow up for Rep Venables. But I feel like they're doing just fine. And I think in the next 2 months we're going to be sitting here with 16 to 20 commitments as the football season's about to start. And we're going to be sitting pretty.
So you're saying the same thing I said?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, even if the policy was different, there's not to say that there wouldn't have been a decommitment. I mean, Venables, they've lost a few commitments in the time that he's been here, and he's lost a 2023 commit, two of them. I don't know.
So here's a fun fact. Oklahoma has 6 commits right now and sits at 40 on the 24/7 ranking. Most schools, like Alabama, only has 8 commits right now. Florida only has 8 commits right now. Like, pretty much anyone in the top 5 is just recruiting a lot right now, and probably won't be seeing a ton of commitments for the rest of the calendar year leading up to the National Signing Day. Like, Georgia might get another 4 to 6. Michigan's probably going to wrap up with, maybe another 5 or 6. Ohio State still has a long way to go. Could get the number 1 class. Notre Dame's got 19. Oregon's got 16. LSU has 16. Penn State has 16. And Clemson at 8 has 11. Similar to Florida State. Stanford's at 10 with 18. Like, Oklahoma can easily get in at least the top 12 as long as when they start getting, their wave of recruits. It's just a matter of time here now. I've been critical of the policy in special cases because, like, why not have taken David Stone's commitment? What was like a year ago when it was first reported that he wanted to commit. But we've also taken Kevin Sperry and Grayson Harris. Like, it's not something that the staff is way against. It seems like it's really like they want to make sure the kid understands. Once you're committed, our expectation is you don't go visit anyone else. So if you're prepared to do that, then let's do it.
With players like David Stone, who is being highly, highly sought after by every program in the country, what's the point in getting him to commit last year or whatever you're talking about super early, then getting all excited about it? Because that kid is going to still be fielding. It's going to be hard for him being offered by everybody in the planet to not still be entertaining offers, even if he's committed. I think it's smart to wait on kids like that. Maybe it's with Sperry and stuff. Maybe it's a little bit different, I guess, in their mind. Maybe they don't think. I don't know. Maybe they think they get in early enough on those guys, and then they're not going to be as highly sought after as a guy like David Stone. But David Stone's going to have every single team in the country banging on his door. It doesn't make sense to get him to commit super early because it's going to be a long time anyway.
Yeah. Brandon, why are you eating a water bottle? Jonathan is asking.
I don't know. I'm just messing around, fellas.
Really hungry, bud?
Yeah. We're north of 100 people on the live stream. Be sure to like and subscribe and turn that notification bell on. And again, we're doing this on a weekly basis now, every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and I think I saw some comments. Michael Patterson McDonald, he pushed up his visit to this week. Okay.
I think this is the one you're talking about. Now, obviously, we don't know Eric personally, so
you're saying Eric's lying.
He could be fibbing. He could definitely be fibbing. But we're going to take him for his word. And it seems like Michael...
Hold on. Do you also see Handyman is shooting his shot in the comments here, fellas? We're about to see love happen on this program live.
Wait, hold on. Wait a minute.
Jenna, respond. No, I don't care about what you guys are saying. I want to see what's going on here. Jenna, are you single? Handyman is down.
Love is in the air.
Love is in the air.
Live stream.
Yeah. Well, Eric, I certainly hope you're right. With that.
Not fibbing, because he could be right. but we don't know if he's telling
Damn
us
it,
to
Jen
quit.
is taken. No love in the air on this program.
Oh, man.
I can't put that comment up, but Keaton had a good one. Oh, look, there we go. He's not fibbing.
All
So there you
right.
go, Eric. I believed you. It's
I said we should believe
this
him,
guy.
but he could be fibbing.
Can I see how this works? Yeah,
You
it's
never know.
hose.
Yeah. Well, hey, that'd be great. Can't
He's not
complain
capping.
there. Can't complain there.
Let's see here.
Hey, Handyman's not giving up, boys. I respect it.
The goalie, it sounds like he's pretty good at his job.
Let me know when the DMs are back open, he says. Who cares about football right now?
I care. But I guess it's pretty entertaining too. All right, so first, I know we were talking about Champ U and Handyman's.
Shout out Ricardo LeBlanc.
Jenna's DMs. But we just had the first official visit weekend that was pretty big for Oklahoma, and it seems like a lot of good things came out of it. Zion Reagan's probably the biggest one after the official visit weekend. What do you guys think? Do you think that Oklahoma was able to get anything productive here? Williams Nwaneri was there. Reports are coming out that it was well, but he still has this Tennessee visit coming up this weekend. What are our thoughts here, boys?
I've been the one, I feel like I've been saying that I'm definitely a little concerned with Williams Nwaneri. Just when you're going up against Tennessee, and Tennessee was able to convince him to visit the 16th and convinced him to switch his visit to Oklahoma on the 9th rather than, him coming for the Champ U barbecue. Does that mean that he's a little leaning towards Tennessee? Maybe. I just wonder if Tennessee will be able to wow him, maybe a good NIL deal. I'm just a little cautious about Williams Nwaneri. It seemed like everything went as well as you could ever hope for. But this is a 5-star defensive line, and as I said, we're in the running for 3 5-stars. It's just hard to get 1, let alone 3. And I just feel like that I hope Oklahoma did enough, but I don't know.
Jenna, we said this last week. We're just going to start recruiting for Oklahoma as a contracting company.
Told you, I'm going to text Danny Okoye while he's at Texas and say, don't do this. I think it's going to make all the difference.
Send him a picture of Michael Phelps or something.
Yeah, I'm going to say, you don't want this.
Yeah, you'll definitely have to be talking with Danny during this visit for sure. But
I think
go ahead.
Go ahead. You first.
No, I was going to say another 5-star. That Oklahoma did host this past weekend was Kobe Black.
I was going to mention him too.
Kobe Black was on campus. He posted some pictures. I think I saw on Twitter today, is he in Oregon now? I think he's going up to Oregon. Did Oklahoma do enough for him?
Yes. I don't know. I hope so.
He was one of the 7 5-stars predicted in our dream class, that the two planes recruiting class. I don't know, but I definitely think Oklahoma's put themselves firmly into the race for his commitment. But I feel better about Williams Nwaneri than I would Kobe Black. That's kind of where I sit with him. Brandon, what do you think?
No, I agree, but that's too easy. Kobe Black had so many official visits still lined up. Oklahoma got him on campus really, really early. Would have liked to be one of the last ones, but still, I'm not going to count out Jay Valai or Brandon Hall here. I think they did a good job. I think he looked like he was having a fun time. I was watching his Instagram lives, stuff like that. It seems like it went well, but all these officials seem like they go well. Hopefully, I just think with Black, it's going to be a long time because he has so many officials still lined up, and Oklahoma got him very early in his visit list.
Man, they're coming after Oklahoma.
Hose is getting attacked. Hose, you're muted, bud. You can't even defend yourself.
I don't think it's so much of an attack, but some
You're getting attacked.
criticism.
That's fun.
What the hell
Jacob,
were we
shout
even
out for the
talking about?
$5.
All right,
Yeah.
let's talk about Jacob here. He's got a question. And shout out for the $5, like Brandon said. Let's see. Why would he not just go ahead and do it so that he can try to recruit these other guys here? That's a good question. That's why I think that there's a very good chance it's wrapped up after the season, because then he can focus on getting Williams to finish, to commit to Oklahoma, and it makes it more enticing for Williams to go to Oklahoma. Nigel Smith, like maybe kind of changes course for Joseph Jonah Ajone and gets people coming over. Because we talked about it with Joseph. Like, what was it? A visit at the end of May or sometime in May, if I remember the timeline correctly. Him, Nigel, and David were on campus together talking about playing all at Oklahoma as a unit. Now that would be pretty cool.
And I don't. We've never talked to David Stone. I think we're going to try to get him on the program. We're trying to get everybody on the program. We want this program to take over. But when we had Danny Okoye on the show, we asked him specifically, like, so when you make your decision somewhere, do you plan on being one of those guys who gets in the other kids' ears and tries to recruit kids to whatever school you're going to? And he flat out he told us, like, that's not something he cares about. He doesn't really care about trying to bring others with him or who's there before him. He's just going to go out there and do his thing. And David Stone could be one of those guys. We read things where Nigel Smith and stuff are talking about maybe they want to play together and stuff, but at the end of the day, we don't know David Stone, and David Stone is good enough to play he's good to play anywhere in the country. So he might not be a guy who's super concerned with that either. He might have that same Danny Okoye approach to the situation.
And that's a very valid point. At the end of the day, there's sometimes
I don't believe in sunscreen, Matt, but I have been out on the golf course a lot. I do feel a little red and dry.
Jose, Can you be someone's hero, baby? Enrique Iglesias.
Saw that from Roger. No, you're right, Brandon. He very well could. That might not interest him. Historically, the quarterback position is typically the one that does a lot of peer-to-peer recruiting, and I think we would be surprised as a fan base about how many commits honestly don't do a lot of peer-to-peer recruiting, and they more so in this generation and younger generations like they're in, it's more of they root for their friends and their guys to go to the best situations, and it seems to be a lot of pushing.
I don't even care about football right now. I'm having too much fun.
Yeah. So
someone play Enrique Iglesias.
If it wasn't a copyright violation, we could. But it is.
Stupid copyright.
Something I did want to ask you guys about, because I saw this on Twitter. Some people were for it, some people were against it. OU this last weekend for official visits, and I don't know if they're going to do the same thing for this upcoming weekend for the barbecue. But they didn't just hang out on campus. It looked like they went to, I was about to say Tobey Maguire, but I know that's wrong.
Toby Keith's.
Hangar.
Yeah, they see his badass hangar. That shit was awesome.
Where there was jets, the cool cars. Do you guys? It sounds like Brandon liked it, but some people weren't a fan. Like, what were your guys' thoughts on that?
I think the people who hate it, those are just simply like the fun haters. Like I would like to see a reason for why that is bad. And I understand like Lincoln Riley did some flashy shit with the whatever cars and stuff and whatever, but like, if you have the ability to take these kids to hang out with Toby Keith, who just in general is a fun guy, he's a good time haver. He's the dude gets down. He's a diehard Sooner, and you have Bob Stoops there. You have this whole community of people who are huge fans. And then you take them to this just elite hangar. Not many people get to hang out at Toby Keith's hangar. That's something that literally only this program can offer to recruits. That on a recruiting visit. Why not utilize it? I don't think anything's wrong with it. I think the kids seem to enjoy it on Twitter. How can you not, seeing all these private jets and cool cars, and just, I'm sure it was a blast. And is that not the the point of these visits is for these kids to have fun and feel like, holy shit, this might be it. And, you know, I'm sure they talked a little football too, for those who are worried about that.
And I think everyone that isn't happy, I want them to take a step back and think about when they were 18, 17 years old. I mean, honestly, if I was offered that, I'd be like, man, that's really cool. Let's go do that. I mean, yeah, I'd like to go see the Bentley. I mean, because most kids and most people in this world don't get to hang around and sit in and maybe even drive a Bentley or a Lamborghini or whatever. I mean, or a private jet. That just isn't available for 99% of Americans.
Yes, like if I was 17 and someone said, "Do you want to go see Toby Keith?" I would have said
told me now.
No. I would have said no. Actually, I don't. I want to sit here and talk football the whole time and do nothing else. Do nothing else but football talk and no pictures. So here's the deal. Yeah, if you hate the idea of them going to hang out at hangars and do all that stuff, do you hate when they take recruit photos and with all the smoke and doing backflips and shit and hoopla? Like, that's fun and flashy too. I don't understand.
I think you got to do something different to stand out whenever you're recruiting against programs with similar recruiting budgets and similar, capabilities to win the conference and win a national championship. And you got to do things and use things to your advantage. I mean, like, Brandon, you talk about going to Miami. Miami's a fun spot because you're literally on the beach and not many programs can offer South Florida weather and things down there.
You have to utilize what you have. And Oklahoma is the only program in the entire country that has the ability for kids to hang out with Toby Keith, which is fun.
Yeah. So, Jose, you're muted.
Fucking mute button. All right. I'm just going to go through these comments, see if anyone was shitting on us. What's the chat about?
We're not shitting on. You're the only one getting shit on.
It was a compliment. Jonathan already said so. Matt Bingham asked about Jordy Ball. Quickly, we can just reiterate. Sucks, but she's going to do what's best for her. You guys want to repeat what you said?
I mean, yeah. We opened the show with it. She's the one player on the team that you didn't want to lose because she's dominant. But until otherwise, Oklahoma's still the best team in the country. And, yeah, wish the best for Jordy.
Definitely. I think she just is looking for a new challenge. And, at the end of the day, I mean, Oklahoma's going to be fine, and it does hurt Oklahoma. But just wish her nothing but the best.
All right, then we got a new Sooner fan in Roland Cruz asking our thoughts on Jay Sean Ross.
Future friend of the show, Jay Sean Ross. I'm going to speak it into existence.
He's very good at football and should be a Sooner soon.
Trying to get him on for an interview or something here relatively soon. Someone that's also visiting, another 5-star that is visiting this weekend that we didn't mention, is Terry Busey.
Little Boosie. Boosie badass. Remember that back in the day?
He is coming on campus and extremely talented player. So Oklahoma's going to have a boatload of talent on campus this weekend.
I think that's pretty much it. We got to try to bring back the shotgunning. That definitely added an element to this show we haven't done in a while. We'll see.
Next week we'll be shotgunning, listen to Lil Boosie and Enrique Iglesias.
Yeah, if you guys
that's all we're gonna do.
If you
we're not even gonna talk football.
Copyright strike us, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Boosie badass. I'm gonna be saying that all night now.
Oh my God.
We need to get lit to that.
Oh man, that's funny.
Oh, we will be talking about the upcoming SEC schedule since it is coming out tomorrow. We'll either talk about it in a video on Thursday or Friday. Who knows? We might change up some stuff and we might even go live tomorrow. Probably not, but we'll see. Cool. Do you guys have any final thoughts before
we will shotgun next week? That's all I gotta say. Someone as hoe as you are, probably.
What?
Yeah, I have long distance running on Wednesdays.
It's not school night though.
It's true.
I don't have Anything else other than the fact that Oklahoma's going to be fine? Take a deep breath. It's all going to be good.
Listen to some Lil Boosie.
Jonathan says go live tomorrow.
Are we gonna do streams for commitments? Possibly. Kind of just depends on the day, and what we're up to. But yes, Brandon will be shotgunning a Four Loko.
I will not be shotgunning a Four Loko.
I will slow sip some vodka sodies, and Brum will probably be drinking water.
Fucking Brum.
Yeah. Brandon's
All
going
right.
to shotgun.
I will shotgun because of
4-1.
4-1. Yeah, I'll shotgun the 4-1 away. Yeah, and if I shotgun enough, I'll forget that it was 4-1.
You'll think it was 4-1 Heat.
Yeah, exactly.
Enough.
Yeah, so be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, and TikTok. Everything's linked in the description below. We'll catch you guys.
Catch you next Tuesday's live. Well, we have a recording too, but
See you next time.
See you next time.
See ya.